Hi soulmate, welcome to another class. So in today's class, I'm making this beautiful bubu with bow tie, big bow tie at the back and tiny ones in front. So let's start. So for this tutorial, I'm using a yellow and white crepe. I'll use the white for the bow tie. So if you notice, the way I fold the fabric, the front part is extending by 1 inch. That is because there is a slit in front. So all I did was I measured my shoulder measurement divided by 2, added sleeve length, added extra 1 inch. That's how I folded it. Then in the middle, I now sewed 1 inch. Do you understand? And I stopped at the nail line. So by the time I'm done, I'll open it up and it will create a slit. Do you understand? So you will now fold the back on top of it. So the front will be longer than the back by 1 inch. But when you are measuring, you are going to start the measurement with the back measurement, just what I'm doing. So I just did it so that it will be easy. So now I've measured my shoulder divided by 2, that's 8 inches, not me, the customer. Then whatever sleeve you want to use, add it. You can add extra 1 inch. So the shoulder divided by 2 is 8 plus 7 inch sleeve length. So everything I'm measuring is 15. So I'm going to maintain this 15 a bit. Do you understand? So that I can create the sleeve opening. Now from there, now you're now going to come down by 1.5 inches, just where you if you want to cut bubu. Please note that all my measurement is starting from the back, not the front that I extended out by 1 inch, because that one is I did it because of the slit at the middle. So I'll just fold it. I'm using 2.5 yards of fabric. You can use 3, you can use 2.5. It depends on the size of the person. So I'm just going to slope the shoulder by 1.5 inch. So after doing that, now the next thing we want to do now is to measure the neck width. I'm using 3.5 inches. I don't want it to be too wide. Then for the back, the neck depth for the let's do the neck depth for the back is, you can use 10, you can use 11, but it should not be too deep except your client specifically tell you that I want it deep. So I'm using 10 inches for the back. Then for the front, I'm using 7 inches, so it will not be too deep. So I'm going to cut it the same way. So I'll just mark it from that 3.5 inches. Now if you want to cut the front, make sure you fold in that 1 inch you left, the extra place. Look at the way I'm folding it. So I will now fold it in. I will now use it to mark the front neckline. You know the back is deeper than the front. Can you see it? So I'm just going to mark it. Please fold it in like this. Then of course you are going to connect the back to it. So now that we are done, this is how it's looking. So the next thing I want to do is to put in my sleeve opening. In order to do that, you are going to measure your sleeve, whatever it is you want to use, but make sure it's free. So I'm using 10.5. I will use half inch to sew it and it will be 10 eventually. So I'm going to come down by 1 inch there. So after doing that, you're going to measure the largest part of your body. Hers is the hip, that's 10.5. You're going to add extra 3 inches. Some can use 2 inches, some can use 4. It depends on how roomy you want your bubble to be. But I'm using 3 inches. So I'm going to maintain that measurement. That's what I'm going to use to the end. So 10.5 plus 3 inches, so that's 13.5. I'm going to maintain it straight down. So if you watched this print, kindly like and share and subscribe to the channel. So after doing that now, it's time for us to now cut it out. Do you understand? So I'm just going to cut it. Very easy. Bubu is simple and straight to the point. So when I get to the shoulder, I'm going to make sure I add half inch on the shoulder line. Do you understand? So now on the neckline, when you want to cut the front neckline, don't forget to fold in that 1 inch extra you added in front. Fold it in before you cut out the front neckline. It's very important, and please don't mistakenly cut out the back before you cut out the front. Make sure you cut the front first. So now that I've cut the front, I'm going to remove the pins I used to secure the front and the back together. Do you understand? So I'm now going to trim out the back because the back is deeper than the front. So please be careful so you won't trim the front and the back together. So I'm just going to trim it out. So when I'm done now, this is how the front will be looking, that middle. Please make sure you fold it in. If you don't fold it in, you have issues with it at the neckline. So fold it in like that. So I'm just going to remove the pins that used to secure this. Then I'm going to open up the middle part for the front so that we can form our, you should just let it open. You know, I told you when I was sewing it, I stopped at the knee line. So this is how it's looking. Can you see it? So it's easy that way. That's how it looks. So I use pin to secure it before, so I'm just removing the pin. I'll remove the pin, and this is how it is. There's a slit at the front now. So the sleeve stopped at the knee line, and the length of this bubu is the full length of the fabric is by 60. Can you see it? So this is how it's looking. So now we are good to go. The next thing we want to do now is to weave it. Make sure you weave it round, and after that we are going to use hemming gum to secure the front in place. But let me weave it first. I'll come and show you. So I'm going ahead to weave it now. It's time for us to use hemming gum. So what you are going to do, you could just place your hemming gum underneath. It's 1 inch, so it should be able to secure it very well. You can double the hemming gum if you wish, and just iron it down. Make sure it's very neat so that the front part will be neat. When you are done like that, we'll now come back. So for the slit area, I wanted to iron it in front of you so you will see. So I will just maintain that 1 inch that I've been using to iron it. Iron it, I first of all press it down. So after pressing it down, there is neat, you now place your hemming gum and you get your slit. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out facing for the front. Whatever I do for the front, I'm going to maintain it for the back. So I just folded a piece of fabric and I'm tracing out the neckline. So I will use it now to cut out facing. So after tracing out the neckline, I'm going to remove it. Then I will now mark whatever the width of your facing want to be. I'm using 2 inches. So I'm just maintaining 2 inches round. So this is the back. I will still do the same for the front. Do you understand? So I'm just going to cut it out. When you cut it out, it will form this V shape. Do you understand? So that will be the facing. Do you see? So I'll do the same. I've done gonna to do the same for the back. So this is it. So you go to your machine and sage it. So after saging it now, so for the back you are going to measure the distance between one end to the other. So it's 9 inches. So that means you are going to fold a piece of cloth that will be more than 9 inches, because that's our rope at the back, because that's what will make the gown stay and it won't be falling off the shoulder. So you have to do that. So you can use more than one. For me, I'm adding two. So people use three for fancy. But make sure you add at least one. If not, your boob will be falling off. So I'm just going to the machine. I cut a strip of fabric is by like 1.5 inch. So you're now going to, you make sure it's just longer than the whatever distance you have in your neckline. So you're just going to fold it. So let me fold it and come and show you. So after folding it, I've gone ahead to secure my facing to the back neckline. So after securing my facing, the rope will now be in the middle. So when you're sewing the facing, make sure you skip some parts. So I measured from the edge of the shoulder, I measured 1 inch, and I'll go and sew it. So after sewing it, so you see I left a space in between so that I will be able to put my rope. Make sure that from your shoulder to the space is 1 inch. Then you can now jump like half an inch. Then you now continue. Then you create a space in the middle for the second row. That is if you are putting it. So I've done it now. So this is how it's looking. I'm just fixing in the rope. So when you're fixing it, make sure the rope lays flat. There is not rumpling or something. It should lay very flat. Do you understand? So you're now going to sew it. You can use pin to secure it for it to be easy. So you are now going to cross check it if it's longer. So I got exactly 9 inches, which is very good. So I'll now go to my machine now. I'll use pins to secure it. Use pins to secure it so that it will not move. And I'm also going to put in, can you see I still skipped a space because I said I wanted double rope. So I'm just going to put it inside and do the same. The way I did for the upper part, I'm going to do for the down part. So after I'm done, you will just use that pin and secure it, then close up that hole. So this is how it's looking. So you're going to place your front on the back. Then you're going to hold the shoulder by half an inch. Hold it on both sides and weave the armhole, the sleeve sides, the sleeve opening, weave it. So this is how it's now looking. So for this one now, you are going to iron everything flat. If you want to use your machine, just use your machine to sew the neck round. For me, I'm using hemming gum. So this is how I'll place it. I'll iron it first, then I'll use hemming gum to seal up the neckline. I'm also going to use hemming gum to seal the sleeve opening. Do you understand? So after I'm done now, this is how everything is looking. I'm gonna have to press it and you see that the back and front is neat. So let's cut the bow for the back. So you want to cut the how your bow will be wide by 10.5 inches and it will be long by 16 inches. So it's 10.5 by 16 inches. So I'm going to also cut for those tiny bow. I'm using 1.5. So you are going to cut at least 3 lengths strip of 1.5 sleeve so that you can get as much tiny bows as possible. But I think I'm using 16 or 14 in total. Yes, 14. So I'm just going to cut it 1.5. So after I'm done, I'm also going to cut the belt. So it's 5 inches. So I'm going to fold it and just curve it in. So I'll get that slanted part at the edge. So now you go to your machine now. You fold the belt, fold it and just hold it. So when you are sewing it, make sure you leave an opening so that it will be easy for you to turn. Do you understand? Then for the tiny bow, you are going to fold it just the way you are seeing me fold it. Fold it in two sides. Make sure it's neat because that's the beauty. Then you're going to refold it and sew it. So you see I'm using 3 long strips. Then for the big bow, this is how you are going to do it. So you are going to hold both sides, then hold it, but make sure you leave small opening so that I can turn it. So let me do it now. So after I'm that, see I've done the tiny bows, but let me show you how I did it. I cut it after I'm done, I cut it 7 by 7 inches each. After cutting it, you now fold it like this and just top stitch on it, and you're cutting your tiny bow. So all in all, I'm using 14. You can use more than that, but I don't want to cluster the fabric. So the next thing I want to do now, it doesn't have to be on straight line. So I'll just do it a bit scattered. But from the shoulder, the difference will be 8 inches. The bow, the distance will be 8 inches. Do you understand? So I'm just going to mark it. This one you don't have to, you can be creative and just mark it scattered. So some are marking it close to the edge, some are marking it close to the middle. But I make sure that the distance is no more than 8 inches or it's not less than 8 inches. So it will not be too much. So I'm just going to mark it randomly. So after marking it now, you might not see it, but I've marked it. So now for the big bow, you're going to find the midpoint. So you are just going to go to your machine and sew it the way I'm showing you now. So after sewing it like this, you now take the long belt. I've pressed it. So you now take the long belt and use it to wrap it so that you will cover where you sewed. Do you understand? Make sure it's in the at the middle and make sure the belt one side is not longer than the other. Maintain the length. So you're just going to your machine and sew it and close it up. So I'll go to the machine and attach those tiny bows on the place I marked. And this is how it's looking. So I'm gonna have to attach it. And this is our big bow. So you are going to turn it to the back now. For this to attach the big bow, you are going to use needle and thread because it's already thick. You cannot use the machine. So I'm going to go to the machine and just place it on the midpoint and start attaching it. Do you understand? So you're just going to sew it. And our bubble is taking shape. I like the color of this bubble. So after attaching it, this is how it's looking. So you're also going to lay your bow flat and attach the fourth sides to the bubble. Make sure it's laying flat and make sure that one side is not higher than the other. So you are going to use your needle and thread to just secure the four edge of the bow tie together and you are good to go. So after I'm done, this is how it's looking. Can you see how beautiful this bubble is looking? So now the next thing you want to do now, see the front, so neat. So you are going to turn it to the wrong side. Then you are going to hold the two sides of the sleeve opening together and just sew it by half an inch. Maintain it down. Sew the down part, and this is how our bubu is looking. See the front, those tiny bow tie, and this is the opening. Thank you for watching. Bye.